I'm going to press play on the recording because it's 6 and I didn't want to forget. So we're recording now.
Okay, I believe this is everybody, so I'd like to call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the April 2021 meeting minutes. Can I have a motion for approval?
I'd make that motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I second it. And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that item is passed. Next is an update on the instructional model planning survey results, plan for 2021-22.
Can you see that on my screen now? I got the right screen. Okay.
Yes.
Basically, Dr. Roach went through the survey results with the school board. This is just a copy of those same slides that are here. We are still very hopeful that we can get out a survey on Friday, and you'll see much more information on this at a presentation on Thursday night by Dr. Farina and Dr. Roach. So I linked this into the minutes in case you wanted to take a look, but it is a recap of what Dr. Roach shared last time. We are currently in the mindset of just trying to gather as much information as we can from families, trying to give them as much information that we can to let them make an informed decision. So you'll hear much more about that on Thursday night at the school board meeting. You know, Sarah and I've been looking and talking to as many other districts as we can as to what they're offering next year. We just continue to talk to principals to see what they think they can do. I mean, staffing is obviously a concern, and how do we do what we can and make it a good program for our learners, because we really want them to be able to do well, but we also want them face to face. It is our firm belief that the best place for learners is in that social learning environment. So that'll continue to be what we say. And then as we reach out to families to try to get some more information, we'll be able to clarify what it is we're thinking for next year. And then once we have final numbers, I know that's what our principals are very anxious to have, our final numbers to get the planning all in and all done for 21-22. So I just wanted to kind of let you know, it's been an agenda item every month. So I thought I would just keep it on there and tell you that you'll hear much more on Thursday night, and link the survey results in for you.
Okay, any questions, Dana or Melanie?
Nope.
Okay, do we have any guidance from the state as to what next fall is going to look like, or
No.
what they think it's going to look like?
Do you mean from a COVID standpoint, Dr.?
Yes, yes.
No, we're still, they have made it very clear to us that our responsibilities for contact tracing and quarantine will still be present, because that's COVID-19 SARS-2 is now a communicable disease as identified in public health code. And so that comes our responsibility to contact trace and quarantine. What we're not certain of yet is what those expectations are. So the best example I can give you, and if I were to be a guessing person, it would probably look like the quarantine that's required now if you're a close contact, which is, 10 days post-exposure, unless you test on day 5 or negative, and then you can return after day 7. But that's not official yet. We have not been given any updated guidance from OPH as it relates to that. The mitigation strategies are lifted on May 31st, though. All those things that are in the health and safety plan dissolve, essentially. We're going to maintain them just for a safe and healthy school year until the end of June 11th. But after that, it's still up in the air. So as soon as we hear, we'll share it, because that's a huge question. So one factor that is impacting parents' decision about the instructional model is what mitigation efforts are going to be expected. And masking, social distancing, those kinds of things. And the answer is, we feel like we may be in good shape going into the year, but in winter months, the Office of Public Health may require masking. That's a public health strategy that they can deploy. So nothing official.
So no crystal ball yet?
None. And I had to
Okay.
say, as the person who spearheads the contact tracing and quarantine, it's extensive. Working as an arm of the Office of Public Health, it's extensive.
Mhm.
So, hopefully we get some clarity well before August. That's my hope.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, the way things go now, it seems like it would be 5 days a week and pretty much in person, not virtual, unless something takes a really different turn, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Even PDE has said, in-person learning is the expectation. I
Mhm.
say expectation for the fall.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my only question. So then let's go on to the next item, which is student progress and summer programs.
So we have sent all of our invitations out. I shouldn't say we, the principals have been very busy sending out invitations to families, K to 12 for our Power Up Camp, and then K to 2 for our Ready to Learn. We've gotten a really nice response at some of the grade levels and not so great at others. So currently we have very low numbers in high school, low numbers in middle school, but enough to justify the programs, and same K to 5. So it's not the 30 or so or 60 or so kids we thought we would be able to impact. And basically it's just the parent refusals that are kind of why that we're not able to see the numbers that we had anticipated. If we had to guess, a lot of them are asking things like, well, they have to wear masks in the summertime when it's hot in a building. The answer is likely still yes for that. We also feel like families are just like, my child's had a year. And so we want to take the summer and be a family and have them be kids. So as much as we really wanted to get a number of kids face to face for camp, we're seeing pretty low numbers. I'll have actual numbers within the next couple of weeks because we're finalizing RSVPs and they would have to be in. I think we wanted final rosters by June 1st. So we're still hoping to hear from some families, but the numbers are fairly low. We will be putting out, we have already have it started, summer opportunities. It's something that we would post on the webpage like we did last year, just if families want their kids to do things. A lot of them are game-based, some of them are all fun, some of them are a little bit more structured with some of the digital content that we use now, activities on Seesaw or Lexia or Imagine Math. So there's things that if children and families want to engage, it'll certainly be there. So we're hopeful. We're also gathering as much data as we can. Sarah is kind of our Linkit guru who works with our platform. We're so very thankful to have that in place. And so she's been working with them. We'll submit the data that we have to the state, just in terms of DIBELS and FMP and MAP scores, and they're going to do whatever they do in terms of number crunching and try to give us some information about students who might be at risk. So we're happy to have that help from the state, but we also have, because we have Linkit, individual fingertip files on every student. And so we're keeping a very close eye on how they finish this year, thinking about what we need to do over the summer to work on some core instruction based on the needs that we see. And then as they come back in the fall, we want to be very clear with the teachers and they'll see for themselves as well where the students might need some extra help. Sarah saw, and Sarah, I'm going to call on you for the quote. Really, we hear the term learning loss a lot, and we're not unaware that there's probably some gaps in some students, but they called it missed opportunities and students haven't necessarily realized their potential, or was it
unrealized potential and are not fully realized opportunities or something like that. But it was really looking at the growth now and the learning acceleration that we can focus on, as opposed to really targeting that learning loss. How to make up those gaps and really propel the kids forward is where our mindset is sort of shifting.
Yes, unfinished learning, I think is what they called it. So we're in tune with that. The specialists in every building are in tune with that. And the principals certainly have their eyes on it. Dr. Farina and Mrs. Giblin and Mrs. Coyle, everybody's got their eyes on where we know they're finishing and how we need to start the next school year. So we're hopeful to bring some professional development, which is also on the agenda for tonight, to our teachers to try to help them figure out exactly where the kids are and how to intervene in real time to support their needs. So we continue to track progress. We continue to build the summer program resources that we can use. Sarah and I were unpacking boxes the other day together. And as soon as we see the rosters for every class, we'll be able to build specific curriculum for what we see as identified needs for those who are joining us this summer.
Okay, so then just to summarize, we didn't get the attendance we expected
Yeah. it's
for the
pretty
summer
low.
program, but we're gonna try to basically build some teacher skill sets to be able to address any deficiencies we were or not, maybe that's the wrong word, address any missed opportunities that we may not have been able, we may
Yeah.
not be able to address because of the summer program attendance.
Yeah, we know there's going to be large gaps next year. Somebody in my job alike meeting at Montgomery County Intermediate Unit today said it may be the largest span of children's abilities in a given classroom that maybe teachers have ever seen. And so we want to continue to, our teachers are very good at doing this. We need to give them, though, potentially more tools, more time to talk about it, and specifically some strategies to use technology to leverage classroom time and to really kind of say, these are the minutes that I have the kids in front of me every day. What can I do to figure out where they are, to meet them where they are, and to move them forward? So yes, we're hoping to bring some more professional development in to help that. We hope that the coaches, K-3 will help with that as well.
Is that item number 6 on the agenda,
Yeah.
that training? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I
do we have
will
to have a
say-
recommendation for that out for funding, or is that just an informational thing that we're planning on spending that?
So last year, we approved a contract with this very company.
Okay.
We never realized it because of COVID. We couldn't bring them in. We weren't going to do it virtually. And so we had approved a contract. The school board gave board approval last spring, and then we never executed the contract due to COVID. So we have it on the agenda again as number 6 there. It's teaching, learning, and succeeding. It's in the amount of $62,000. I should have that on there and I don't, I apologize. That will get us training for every teacher at the 4-5 center, for a cohort at the middle school and a cohort at the high school. And it really is about assessment-driven, engaging, and responsive instruction. And that's exactly what we need right now to target supporting every student in the classroom, because we will see a large variety of needs and abilities, more so I think than probably any other year.
Okay, well, I guess we could talk about that one when we get to that item. So
Okay.
I just wanted to try to take notes to be informative tomorrow or Thursday for the meeting. So,
Yeah.
okay, so we went over the summer programs. Next item is the contracted curriculum items for 21.
Could I just ask one quick
Oh,
question?
sure, I'm sorry,
On
Dana.
number 3.
Mhm.
What was the other program? It's Power Up, and what's the,
Ready to learn.
and approximately what percentage of our total student enrollment got invites?
So we were able to invite, for 3rd through 12th grade, we offered an ELA and a math section, and we hoped to get at least 30 kids per section. In some instances, we have less than 10 kids in a lot of those sections. So final numbers aren't in. I don't want to project anything that might not be true when we finally create the rosters. But we hoped to have about 60 per grade level, Dana, and we ended up probably less than a dozen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
On the agenda every year, we put forward the planned curriculum writers for the upcoming school year. So I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. Can you see that?
yes.
Okay. So for 21-22, oh, wow, I went over too far. My apologies. For 21-22, this still says tentative list because we don't have board approval yet, but we're targeting the courses that are up on curriculum review according to the cycle that we look at quite often. I have them color coded here by level. So this is that peach color is middle school. So you can see that we're doing English in the middle school. And then as we go down the list here, you can see that we're also doing English at the high school. We're doing each of the encore subjects at the middle school. We're continuing with technology education at the high school. There's UC English at the high school, world language at the high school. The German 1 is also taught at the middle school, but by and large, that's all high school. And then accounting, we're continuing to chip away at the business courses that are there. I'm not sure, I have to take this last one off here. We were going to do something with one of those classes, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to pull it off. So these are all of the courses that we're going to rewrite, as well as the writers that have agreed to do so. So BB's Blake Bardman. I have the full list on the board agenda for approval for this upcoming meeting. Dan Moyer will be doing some. Got a really nice response from the teachers. I think we have a really good opportunity to collaborate and work together and create some really robust curriculum documents for our students. I'm happy to have so many people. So you can see that the total amount that we're looking to spend on curriculum writing is about $25,000. That's in line with last year's $25,000. That's about what we're able to expend annually. And that's about as far as Sarah and I can stretch our time with about 20 or so courses and different writers writing. So
Okay,
that will be on the agenda for approval if you allow that to go forward tonight.
I would say we should recommend that for approval. Dana, do you have any comments or questions on that?
No, it's incredibly important.
Mm-hmm. So the English classes that that you just had with the one that you just crossed off, was there any reason why that was crossed off? Was it not availability or?
And we're not sure. Dave Thomas is considered in the English department, but he does like the broadcast class. So it doesn't really fit there. I had it on there as a side note to remind myself, but it's not in English. He's kind of he's not a
journalism or something.
Say it again.
Is it like journalism?
No, it's, Andrea, it's called broadcast. I forget the name of it, or video production. Yeah, video production.
Video production.
Yeah, and it's kind of in with the English department for lack of another home, but I don't think he's up yet. I don't think he's up for curriculum renewal. I have to look at the last time that was done.
Okay.
There are other electives that we're not getting to in the English department too, just because of, again, the amount of work that it takes to get that many done. So next year you'll see some English electives on there, and if he's up, then we can do it at that point.
Okay, so I'm definitely supportive of moving that forward. I did have a question on that in general. So I'm assuming when we get our I guess our standardized scores back in the fall, that might be where we see if we have any missed opportunities or deficiencies, and I would bet a lot of that is going to be due to the virtual learning and COVID disruption. Would there be any thought of any changes in curriculum based on that, or that would be something we would talk about in like probably September or October?
Well, this is really the list that we are committed to for next year. I think when we get our scores back, we have some structures in place with building leadership teams, reading specialists, math specialists, and coaches to say the data is indicating that we have work to do here and work to do here, and we'll really target it instructionally. So if we can get the professional development that we're looking for, and we can work with our teachers to try to say, if a child's struggling here, here are some ideas to do. We're constantly looking at working with our special education department and Dr. Farina about what types of interventions seem to work well. They've laid a really nice framework with MTSS, and really that's what this is. It's about meeting the needs of every student. So though we wouldn't necessarily change the curriculum writing list or target a full curriculum in a course, we certainly would look at instructional strategies. We certainly would look at student interventions and how to leverage the data with what we know to be true about strong pedagogy and instructional practice, and try to get the impact there.
So if I heard you right, what you're saying is we likely have the curriculum in place. If we have to be reactive based on our scores, it would be really think about are there ways to enhance instruction somehow? What you mentioned, pedagogical or
pedagogy.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
again, our teachers are very good, but I think we're going to end up with some gaps and some things they might have never seen before, or a wide range, and we just want to be able to support their work.
Okay. So at that time, that would be if we would need any additional programs or funding, that would be brought up at that time?
Yeah, I mean, we're planning for PD right now across the whole
Mhm.
year. So I think that, maybe we would look at some of the ESSER funds and what other possibilities we might have to
Mhm.
impact learning once we take a look at that data. I think today we talked about the fact that we won't see PSSA scores till likely November because the
Mhm.
window is open through September. So normally we
Okay,
scores in July and we're able to do a lot of things over the summer. But with the window open through September, we won't get anything until, I would say the earliest is October. I would think it closer to December, knowing how PDE works. No offense, but
okay,
I think it's usually a 3-month gap and that would lead us to just about Christmas time.
yeah, and the reason I bring this up isn't for budgetary reasons necessarily, it's more to say, if we're expecting some gap and if we have any kind of forecast of what that would be, we should really think about it ahead of time, if there's anything we could do to implement. It sounds like you're already thinking that direction, but
Yeah, and
anything we could do from a committee perspective to support that, I'd encourage earlier communication rather than later.
one of the things that, oh, go ahead, Andrew, were you going to say something?
Well, we were really hoping that our summer programming would be one of those things. So we
Yeah.
were already thinking, well, before around our mid-year assessment time, that we could quickly address what we have observed without waiting for any kind of standardized metric.
Mhm.
We have enough data internally to observe that kids, have unrealized potential in the academic area, just because of the fractured instructional model. So, that was our hope when we wrote those grants, that we could capture time and give that back to kids before they move on to the next grade. So, I think that those discussions will continue around what the MTSS framework looks like, because those kids are still present, those gaps are still present. And so how do we create responsive instruction in the moment when our kiddos come back to us in the fall?
Okay, understood.
And one of the things that ESSER 4, Andrea, is asking is that it be, I know ESSER 3 or 4 is that they're targeting, they're calling it learning loss. They want our funds to really target learning loss and they want input from the community. And so as we work through what we learn daily more and more about what we can spend these funds on, we will be reaching out and trying to survey the community and see, what they feel like would be a good use of these funds. And there are some specific parameters to try to address that learning loss. And so that'll be up to individual districts once they get their input to figure out how to spend that. So I feel like this and maybe the budget committee or finance committee would be tackling some of those projects.
Okay.
Rise.
I guess I'd just say we would be, as a committee, if I speak for the committee, we would definitely be open to listening to what would be needed and try to be as proactive as, I know you tried it with the summer program, but anything that we could do to support, because it was an unprecedented year and we know there's going to be some things we'll have to do differently to try to recover from it.
Yes,
So,
thank you. Thank you.
okay. So that would, was there any other questions on that, Dana or Melanie?
Good.
No?
I am
Okay.
going to add pedagogy to my vocabulary, however.
Strong instructional practice. Yeah. Just
Okay.
another way to say it. Good. So we annually put our payment for mentors on the school board agenda so that we're able to pay our folks who spend a lot of time, energy, and effort helping our new teachers along. And so this is, you can see here that this shows you who the mentor was as well as who the new teacher was. So the mentor or the new teacher is in parentheses and the mentor is just listed on that list. It doesn't look exactly like this, but when we put it forward on the school board agenda for approval, they get paid a stipend of $500 a year and everybody participated for the full year. So I just have that on here for our note taking. Sometimes it's somebody comes in at half year and you pay half the stipend, but everybody was here did a super job in a crazy year, really supporting the growth of new teachers. And Sarah kind of manages all of induction. And so I'm so thankful to her for her efforts and her positivity with that group every year.
I just wanted to say, for our inductees, we had, I believe, 2 true brand new, fresh out of school teachers this year, and they just did such a tremendous job. And so I really wanted to give a shout out to our new teachers. They picked quite a year to join a profession, and they picked quite a year to join a new school district. And this list was a really diverse group. It ranged everywhere from school psychologists to FCS. Our home economics is traditionally FCS is known as teachers. And they really spanned the spectrum of instructional staff, and they worked very hard. So I wanted to give a shout out to these guys because they picked quite a year to start teaching. And they met every challenge head on, and we're really pleased with their progress.
It seems like such a long time ago that induction ceremony was. It seems like it was 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It does. They've been through a lot, but they really, they worked hard. This is a good group. I'll be sad to pass these guys along. They did a nice job.
Sarah has a graduation planned for them for June 14th, Sarah? No, it's before.
June 4th.
June 4th. I knew it was a 4th.
June 3rd, I'm sorry.
Okay.
June 3rd.
We're hopefully able to, meet with them in person, which we've been trying to do a little bit more, which is so nice. Give them the virtual pat on the back that they deserve, and officially graduate them out of induction. Which, even though it is a prescribed state mandated thing, there was such a nice program built when we started. And so just kind of continuing with that has been really great. We'd love to, as we look at comprehensive planning, right, Dr. Farina, stretch it a couple years, right, Sarah? Do a couple years of induction. So because with the PD that we want to do for our teachers, when you bring a new teacher on, you can't start from scratch. So we need to make sure we're kind of teaching them the upper PERC way as they come in. So we're hopeful to stretch that at least one more year and do a 2-year induction program. Okay. So if with your permission, we'll put that on so that the business office knows to pay them this month.
I agree with that. Dana, do you have any comments? You agree? Put that on for
Certainly
payment.
agree. Is there a dollar figure that should be attached to that too?
It's $500, and that'll be on the board agenda. Yep.
It's 500 per mentor. So how many mentors were there? 15 or something?
11.
11.
11.
Mhm.
Okay, 5,500. Okay, I agree. So we'll put that on. So that would cover item number 5. So next item is the contracts for professional development.
Yeah. My original agenda had 2 on there, but I haven't yet seen the one from MCIU. So I took it off for this month. I'd hoped to have it, but I didn't have it prepared for tonight. I haven't seen it from them. So as I mentioned earlier, last spring, we brought in, actually last winter, we brought in Teaching, Learning, and Succeeding to meet with our admin team to talk a little bit about what this program is. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a program that is assessment driven, responsive, and engaging. Really works to integrate technology with instruction and provide teachers with information about what their students know and what their students are ready to learn. So we really feel very strongly that doing this type of professional development in small cohorts works very well. However, at the 4-5 Center, we have a unique opportunity because it is a relatively small staff. I think we'd be talking 26 to 28 teachers to be trained together in this with the company TLS. The contract would cover all 4-5 teachers, a cohort at the middle school and a cohort at the high school. And that's at least 6 different training opportunities throughout the school year with follow-up coaching in between. And we know when we do research on what makes professional development work, it's that it's not drive-by, it's not once and done. It is a sustained program across time with job embedded coaching support. So that is exactly what this brings to the table for all of our teachers. So we have about 14 that Chris Siegfried and I worked on a list at the middle school that would participate. And Rob, Josh, Todd, and I looked at a list at the high school for about 14 teachers. And so every year we would try to grow another cohort. So this is one of those really unique opportunities to continue to build capacity in our teachers to help meet the students where they are with where they might be struggling. So as I mentioned, it's based on a collection of evidence and then analyzing that evidence and then intervening, not just, in an intervention way, but in the core classroom. And that's what I think we can really help our teachers think about is how do I use my class time really efficiently to meet the needs of a lot of different kids in the classroom. One thing I will say is I know we approved it last year, so I put it on here in the hope that we would be able to maybe talk about it again and see if we'd be able to put it forward for approval for this upcoming school year.
So did we pay for it last year and not use it? What?
No, we never paid for it.
I was never paid for. Okay.
No, we had the signed contract. I never sent it though, because I had a feeling, and then it was sadly realized that we wouldn't be able to do it. So they worked with us. They were great. I mean, obviously they really wanted to do professional development. We did bring them in November for one session. So we were able to do that. That was a separate charge and fee. But no, we didn't have to pay for it last year.
Okay. Dana, do you have any questions on that program?
So it's a new program. We would have had it last year, but it didn't really pan out.
Right. It's a plan for professional development. It's just a company. I wouldn't even say it's a program. It's a company who's coming in and they're going to do a sustained program for our teachers just to try to build their capacity in their teaching strategies and that pedagogy, that new word that you learned, so that they're doing instructionally. The decisions that they're making instructionally are based on data and what they see in front of them, the technology that's available for the kids, and really kind of maximizing the engagement through that platform, which is nice because we've added a whole lot of tech hardware and software for our kids. And so a lot of the programs that TLS works with, things like Nearpod and Wiser and some of those other platforms that we purchased last year due to COVID, are exactly what they use to try to maximize engagement and really do some strong formative checks with students.
Here again, I think it's incredibly important. The profession of teaching, the science of teaching is ever changing, and this is one way to keep up with everything that is going on.
And it's based a lot on too. We've looked a lot at brain research and how kids learn, and that does change over time. So I appreciate your comment in that area. Things do change. We do learn about how the brain works, and so bringing that to our knowledge and putting it right in front of teachers, it's so fun to talk about how kids learn and then try to plan accordingly. I think that's important.
So I'm supportive of this in general. I'm just curious what the program looks like. So they come in and assess what technology we have and also take best practices and then try to develop a custom plan for Upper Park Yeoman.
Well, we've spent a lot of time talking. I picked the brain of Andrea. I picked the brain of all of the principals. We've talked to a whole lot of teachers. So the plan at this point really is to try to hold a session with them this school year, whoever's participating, and just do a little pre-assessment about what do you want to know? What do you think you know? What do you think you might want to learn? And then they have some very specific teaching strategies that they work through with teachers. So in other words, there'd be a professional development session and they'd be showing them by modeling, a different way to collect formative assessment or a different way to take the data from your students and group them accordingly, and some different activities that work at the different levels that the teacher or that the students might be at. So the program is pretty much planned right now in terms of how to bring them the idea of using that data a little bit maybe more often than they had before to structure activities that are more than just whole group. It really is about engaging small groups, one-on-one learning where it's possible. So we've kind of outlined what we think the the different workshops will look like, but based on what they're seeing with teachers and the feedback that they get, they can tweak it and modify it to best meet the needs of our teachers. And then the follow-up coaching is really the accountability piece. So if we're going to come in and we're going to teach you these things, you got to show us that you're trying them. And so the coaches come in and they observe them in the classroom and they give them some really good feedback. And the fact that it's not us, I'll be very honest, the fact that it's not Sarah or me or Andrea or somebody else trying to say, we're not really sure about this. It's not evaluative. It really truly is about coaching and supporting them and having the conversations to improve their instruction in the classroom. And I will tell you, I've seen teachers go through this program who were excellent teachers to begin with, outstanding, who just got better. And there were some who were struggling and didn't quite know how to ask for help because sometimes that's embarrassing, and found a great outlet in people that weren't from the district that they could just be honest with and take some risks with and learn from. So it is a tried and true method. Wissahickon uses this company. Radnor uses this company. Springford uses this company. And they've seen a lot of success in small groups, working with teachers, providing coaching, and really seeing some growth from good to great and great to outstanding. So we're not saying this is going to fix our teachers, because our teachers don't need to be fixed, but they do really deserve a lot of support and to learn kind of how to try to do things a little bit differently. Certainly now with all the different tech platforms we have, I think knowing how to use that well instructionally in the classroom is something that anybody could benefit from.
Okay, so let me just make sure I heard it. So they'll come in and they'll provide some training, and would that be individualized or in a big group? Like would an elementary English teacher get a different seminar than say a high school science teacher?
Great question. We're only doing this in 4-5. So 4-5 has
Okay.
two teachers that'll come in. We're contracting with 2 individuals, the same ones all year at the 4-5 center. We have a specific individual who will work with that cohort of 14 at the middle school, and then a different person who will work with that cohort. So it's the same person with the same school. They'll actually spend time planning with the principals to make sure that, you know, they're all on the same page. And so, yes, Dr. Drake, it'll look different in 4-5 than it does in middle school than it does in high school. Principles will largely be the same, but as you walk that out in practice, it will look a little bit different. So it's a really small group, middle school and high school, and then it's the entire staff at 4-5. K-3, we're not engaging at this time. I'd like to do some literacy work with them, engaging some folks at the IU. And so that'll be a contract once that's ready that I bring forward for K-3. So this is really just 4-12.
Okay. So that sounds like a good approach for me. I think I've heard enough. We would we put this on the workshop agenda as well for funding?
I would love to, given your permission. I want to execute the contract so I can hold the dates. That really is why I'm trying to put it on May 27th.
So will that be for this year's budget or next year's budget?
Next year's budget, and it's in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Dana, do you have any concern? I mean, it seems like it's a good program to put forth.
An excellent program. It's where we have to spend our money in instruction.
Yeah. It all starts with the people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well then we'll put that on as well, or recommend bringing it forth as well for the vote at the workshop.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. Honestly, you don't know how much it means to be able to move forward. And really, I think the teachers will have a great time with this. I really do. And they'll learn a lot and the kids will benefit. And so I'm thankful for that.
Okay. Is that the last item on the agenda?
It is.
Okay. Is there anything else, anything not on the agenda we should discuss, or anything we should be aware of as a curriculum committee?
There's something I was thinking of, but I don't know. We're really moving forward, and it's so hard to work with 1 foot in this year and 1 foot in next year, especially with all the unknowns. So a lot going on. We appreciate Jim's support from the tech department to get all the equipment and to support that for our teachers. They've been working really hard. They have a plan this summer to bring in what they need to bring in and refresh and turn some things back around. So we're really appreciative of the technology department as well.
Okay. Well, if we don't have any further agenda items, I'm not sure if any public is online. I see someone with the nickname Cricket. I'm not sure if that's an administrator or a teacher. But I'd open it up for any public comments or questions before we close the meeting. Okay, I guess Mr. or Miss Cricket isn't has no comment. So then if no, oh,
Hello.
hello.
Hi, it's Cricket's my nickname. It's Christine Schmoyer. Now you guys all
hello.
know my secrets. I have
Okay.
nothing to comment or add. I just wanted to check in and see what was going on.
Okay,
Don't tell my secret though, okay?
okay, we'll never tell. We won't put it in the minutes.
Hey,
So
I
you don't have
appreciate
to
this
worry.
because I didn't know that's how it showed up on Zoom calls because I'm doing it from my phone. So see, I learn something new every day. So thank you.
Okay. Okay, then, well, thank you for attending. We appreciate it. And any feedback you could give us as how to operate better as a committee is also welcome. So if there's nothing further, then I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, and I second it. So all those in favor? Aye. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you. We'll see
All
you.
right, thank you,
some of
guys.
you in
Thanks so
15
much.
minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Few minutes.